Hello again, everybody. Bobby Mills here with another version of Bobby Mills Independent Sports Talk. You can find us online at the independent.com. We have Mark Zavala holding over from wrestling to talk a little basketball along with Eric Williams, Zach Mayhew behind the camera, and back in the shadows, Aaron Martinez, making sure we all behave. Let's talk a little bit about boys basketball. I think maybe we should, I don't think we've covered this before. The Omaha World Herald does some ratings, and I believe it's right before the season starts, and they don't update them, which is probably a wise thing, until after the first of the year. So we're going to go with Stu Pospisil's preseason ratings, and obviously we'll have to stick with that since they have not been updated. And what we're going to do is go through and highlight a little information about the area teams in all six classes, I should say. And we don't have too many teams in our area in Class A, but one team we do want to talk about is Kearney High, and preseason rated, they're, where did they start on? Number 8, I think. Number 7 or 8. They're 1-2, but they've had a little bit of a difficult schedule to start. They lost to Millard West on that last crazy last plays. Shea Wyatt stole the ball, went in and laid it up, and then stole an inbounds pass and laid that in. But I watched Kearney High last week against Omaha Burke, and Burke has a Division I player in Sharif Williams. That was a good matchup between him and Cannon Coster. I'll tell you, boys, Cannon Coster can play a little basketball.
Yeah.
6'3" junior. Of course, his dad has that big thing over there in Kearney every summer, Doug Coster. So he has some bloodlines, but this kid is and Kearney High has an all-star lineup, I think. This is a pretty good basketball team, but he dropped 37 on Omaha Burke. Have you seen Coster play either one? Oh, man.
I haven't this year, no.
And this kid is a guy that can bring it down the court, that can score and distribute and rebound. And we'll be talking about some of the players around the area that are top scorers, but they have a tough schedule the rest of the way. So, Northeast is the other team that beat them. And they had Fremont Saturday, and of course, you know how good Fremont is. And then Gretna, they had before, and then the GNAC, the Greater Nebraska Athletic Conference Tournament, is just a bloodbath every year. So Kearney High, I would say, maybe after Christmas, Lincoln Northeast again, Millard North, and Norfolk, not bad the rest of the way, but hey, you're in Class A, so you're going to have to play. So in Class B, Aurora. We like Aurora.
Yes.
I would like to see Aurora play Gretna. They're currently rated number 2, and Aurora hasn't lost, and I don't think they've been pressed so far.
It's fitting that they don't have to play Gretna.
Yeah, they do, but
not in their holiday tournament.
But
They might in the holiday.
They
Really?
could, and
They
they
could?
Yeah. They could
Okay.
play Gretna in that holiday tournament. It's Lincoln Pius, Gretna, Aurora, and Omaha Gross. So we saw Gross out here a couple of weeks ago in the GICC tournament. But this weekend, before they even hit the Christmas break, they have York and Norris. So,
That Norris matchup's going to be a fun one right there.
Did you see Norris play or not?
I did not.
Okay.
I went to the other 2 games at Northwest.
Okay, yeah, Norris
But
played Northwest.
I hadn't seen Norris,
Hmm.
but that's still a very, very good team right there in that Norris and Aurora. You talk about being challenged. That's where they're going to get challenged for sure. So, it'll be interesting to see how that works for them. Again, you can't overlook York either. I mean, they're going to be looking at that Norris game, but also it's a rivalry with York and Aurora, so be ready for that one too. But yeah, going into that Gretna holiday tournament, they're going to have a couple good challenges at least, but still a 4-0 start, and really not much of a matchup either in any of those 4 games.
They've got so many good players. Austin Allen Mark is a great player.
Oh, yes.
And so many players that are. The Panner kid is really surging.
The point guard.
Yeah, and the coach's son, of
Coach's
course.
son, yeah.
Leininger, Tommy, and they just have so many weapons. Who do you cover?
Well, and that's just it. I mean, you come back with everybody. I mean, did they lose anybody from the last year's runner-up?
I don't think
No.
so.
I don't think so either. So
Good
I mean, when you could come back with all 5 guys again, it's just remarkable off a team that had the run last year.
And they have a very manageable schedule after the first of the year. They do have the Central Conference tournament, obviously. Crete and York will be in that. But there's an interesting matchup that in the Heartland Hoops Classic, they play Omaha South. Boy, if you're a basketball fan, you won't want to miss. And of course, if they wouldn't happen to win that game, it's nothing lost. It's just a test before districts. But the other team in the top 10 that not really in our area, but of course they play teams in our area, is York. And they're undefeated, and of course they have Aurora, and they have their own holiday tournament, which includes Hastings, St. Cecilia, Beatrice, and Elkhorn. Sure wish they could have had some tougher teams in that. Yeah, right. Yes, and York's got a great young team, of course, and they're going to be, their schedule after Christmas is not so friendly. They have Central Catholic, Norris, Crete, Beatrice, yeah. And the only team in our area in Class C1 really is Adams Central. Eric, you saw Adams Central, is that correct? And I wondered about
How they would be with
how they would be with
the
all those,
athletes they lost.
all the athletes, how David Bowen would react without the distributors, the ball being distributed, you know?
The good news is he doesn't have to distribute it to anybody.
That's right.
He's a heck of a scorer. I did go up and watch him play Centura, and you know, I thought this was going to be a good test for Centura and Omen's team up there. But it really didn't turn out to be the matchup I thought it would be. I didn't think Centura would win, but I thought they could keep it fairly close. They got into foul trouble early, but you know, you talk about that David Bowen. He had 28 points or 25 points in that one, and then he follows that up with the 41 that he does. You know, he is so quick with the ball of just getting it out.
Yeah.
He got 3 or 4 3-pointers in the first quarter, and he was already up to 12 points, and it's just like, man. But you know, that Centura team, I still think they're going to be a pretty solid team down there. They got a lot of depth, you know, with some seniors and juniors on that team. I tell you what, that Jose Guzman, the point guard for him, I love that kid. He's a great basketball player, can dribble the ball, can handle it pretty well. So I think he's a kid to be watching out for as well out of that game that I saw.
Yeah, and a good point. I heard rumors before the season he wasn't even going out, and I thought that would be a huge loss because that kid can play basketball, not only football, but basketball. And he runs the team, I assume.
Oh yeah, he's the point guard bringing it down, and they've got a couple other shooters. You know, Ben Omen down low. He's got some paint. Jackson Noakes out on the 3-pointers. They've got some shooters on that team. They just didn't get a very good flow in that Adams Central game. Of course, they got down rather early too. So
They might have another shot in the Lou Platte tournament. So
Yep.
that's another thing to look for. And another thing about David Bowen is, I always hesitate to call somebody a pure shooter, but he might be. I mean, a guy that's going to hit that 3-point shot with somebody in his face or somebody not in his face. Either one of you guys put that tag on him? I mean, if he's not being guarded, he's going to stroke it and it's going to go in. But
And there were
pure
a few
shooters, tough tag. But
yeah, and there were a few times he had guys in his face, and he did go up over him. But you talked about facilitating the ball and spreading that around. They still do a good job at that. I mean, there was
good.
multiple guys that, yeah, he had the 25 points, but there's guys that had 13, there's guys that had 5, 3. You know, he wasn't the only guy to go to in a certain spot.
Wow.
So, but he's definitely the go-to guy, and they even tried to do a box and one on him there at
Still
one
didn't
point,
work
and
out.
still didn't work out very well. So.
And Adams Central, of course, it's not going to be easy for them. They always have a tough out-of-conference schedule, so whatever, you know, they'll hang in there. And the other team besides Adams Central, that's once again, I don't know whether Kearney Catholic is in our area, Zach. We think they are. I mean, you could consider it. That's a good basketball team. And, you know, unfortunately, Scott Carlin isn't there anymore. But now things have changed a little bit because Donnie Lease is back. And Donnie Lease, I don't know whether they went back to that style of basketball. It's just up and down the court, and people just hate to play that team. You're going to have to run. They don't care about turnovers. They're going to get up and down the court and shoot the ball. And, I mean, you know, and they have they've got a horrible schedule. And they were 17-0. They're 1-2, but don't let that record fool you. And they're playing teams, oh, goodness gracious. So anyway, Kearney Catholic's got a pretty good ball club. But let's see, Class C2, and I don't know whether I have the right sheets or not here, but maybe I don't. In our area, by the way, Zach Mayhew provided this with some teams. Is that might be girls, isn't it? Or is it? No, that is boys.
Elwin Murdoch, #1.
That is, yeah. Well, I'm not sure.
St. Cecilia #2. That was
It had, you know what, it has to be, yeah, because, I'm sure St. Cecilia's girls don't play Winnebago. And they don't play Mount Michael. Can we be sure of that? Yeah, yeah, I don't think they play Mount Michael. Anyway, ooh, that'd be strange. Let's have a game between Omaha Marion and Elkhorn Mount Michael. Anyway, St. Cecilia preseason rated #2. And of course, they're not gonna win their opening 2 games usually because it's SCOTUS and it's Newman. But this year, they didn't have to go deep in the, well, they didn't have to. They didn't go deep in the football playoffs. That usually affected them. I wonder, and I keep thinking that they should hit the ground running, but they lost a lot of people from last year. You know, Zach Kitten and that bunch.
Asher.
And, oh, yeah, I mean, they really, and I don't know why I should think that. There were guys that came off the bench, though, with the younger Asher boy and Grant Farmer. So they'll have time to recover. And, you know, they're not afraid to schedule anybody. They're in that tournament in New York, as we said. They play Lincoln Christian, they play Kearney Catholic, Aquinas, Adams Central. Centennial is not a bad team. And they always go to Mount Michael and play in the little bitty gym. And then they play Winnebago in the Heartland Hoops Classic. You guys think St. Cecilia, you get it cranked up before the year's over and be a contender like last year? I think it takes a while to get the flow when you lose guys like the older Asher boy.
They may not have the record maybe going into districts, but I think they're going to be contested well to where they could challenge some of those better ranked
Well,
teams in the district. They might be going into it definitely probably not a 1 seed, but I could still see them winning a district and going to the state playoffs.
Is it just me, or do you think Class C2 is not super strong like it's been? It doesn't
Well,
look.
Winnebago's not in C2. They were in C2 last year.
Yeah, so Bago's moving out of there. That might be a St. Cecilia.
Did Amherst lose a lot of kids from last year?
No, they
Well, they're
did not.
gonna be a good team.
They will be good.
But they lost their leading scorer.
Taubenheim, I mean, they lost whoever it was, but Amherst is gonna be right up there. I don't even have them listed, and that's ridiculous, but
they're
they must
number
be.
3.
They're number 3, yeah, and it's because they're out of our area, but
Yeah.
really Jim Langen always talks about them because he officiates them sometimes, and oh yeah, they're gonna be a consideration too, and Cedar Catholic's good, but in Class D1, the only team around here that is Heartland, and they have a terrific basketball team, and they're 4-0 right now. They haven't been tested either. But if you can find a team with a tougher schedule than that, I challenge you to do that. They're in a tournament in Nebraska Wesleyan that has Louisville, Parkview Christian, BDS, Humphrey St. Francis, Deschler, Friend, and the other team is Takema Herman. And I don't know why they have a basketball team. They're a contender in wrestling. They're a wrestling school. So, but man, and then. Look at this schedule after Christmas. Centennial, Riverside, Cross County, Fillmore, Friend again, Deschler, and then the Southern Nebraska Conference Tournament. If Heartland can get through even close to unscathed, they're going to be a contender, you know, somewhere in that Class D. And we'll drop down to Class D2 and Riverside, which is a combination of Spalding High and Cedar Rapids, is a team to watch in D2. Now, either one of you familiar with Noah Velocic, the quarterback up there?
Oh, yeah.
Broke a collarbone.
Yep.
He is back. And we're going to cover some top players around here in just a second. So they're already 4-0. They beat St. Francis. Their schedule's loaded too. And of course, the Goldenrod is a tough thing. But I'd like to see them play Parkview Christian. And that would be a great matchup there. So keep your eye on these teams. Eric, do you have anything to add?
I was going to say in D2, I think that if you would update these rankings, I think Burwell and Palmer might be up in there right now. I mean, these are preseason rankings. They're not in it right now, but those 2 teams right there have gotten off to a great start. Both are 3-1. So they would definitely, I think, be in the running for a D2 top 10 team as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you can, like you probably said, great point, because when the ratings come out after the first of the year, you can probably expect to see the Longhorns and the Palmer Tigers up there. So I'm going to go to the sheets here that have the lead to some of the top players in our area. And we discussed some of them already. David Boland is one of them. He's averaging, in fact, I think the only player in the state that is ahead of him in point scoring is Teddy Allen from Boys Town. And Boland's averaging 26.8 points a game. He doesn't get a lot of rebounds, doesn't have to.
It's because they go in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and right behind him is Coster from Kearney, who's averaging 25.9 points a game, but that Coster, now Zach Foster doesn't like to publish the little stats for Adams Central, so you're not gonna know what Bolin shoots from the field. He takes a lot of shots, doesn't matter, scores a lot of points. But Coster, this is weird for a high school kid, he shoots 63% from the field. And some of his shots are from outside, but he also averages 9 rebounds a game and 3 steals. Now, we talked about Heartland. What about have you seen Lane Huber play at all in any sport? Okay. That's a Heartland kid that's averaging 23.8 points a game. And by the way, Bolin's a senior, but Coster's a junior, so is Huber. He shoots 68% from 2-point land, 32% from 3-point land. He's just a great athlete, and he's the guy that's going to lead Heartland. But now we go to Riverside. I'm going to skip. Well, there's 2 kids sandwiched around from Riverside, around Jonah Misick from St. Edward, and one of them is Trayden Prasowski. I think they call him Trey. I don't know if I'd want to be called Trayden. I think they call him Trey for short. This is a kid that when he was in the 8th grade was being sought after by more than one different school. They didn't know where he was going to go. I think he could have gone to Fullerton, he could have gone to whatever. Anyway, he ends up playing for Joey Imus up at Riverside. He's a phenom. He is a pure shooter and also a terrific baseball player. This kid is already averaging 23.6 points a game with Velocic in there. So how good is Riverside? You know, that's a good basketball team. They lost Tanner Hudson from a year ago. So they're still a great basketball team. And then, of course, we have Jonah Misick from St. Edward, their quarterback, who has good bloodlines. His dad was a 1,000-yard rusher 2 times over and an all-state football and basketball player. Great player. And it's good to see St. Ed doing well in basketball. A couple of lean years. So before we go into the girls, let's go over some of the girls' leaders. Taylor Kissinger. I wonder how long she's going to. Now, she injured. Zach, have you heard anything about Taylor Kissinger from Mennonite? Jim Langen, she hurt a wrist.
Yeah.
That's what I heard
In
too.
that 3rd game against, I don't remember who it was. She went out early, still averaging 27.3 points a game. Maybe another week, maybe. Marcus, what you heard? It's not a season-ending thing.
No, it's not.
And they need her. They'll play at Central Catholic tonight, so maybe we can find out a little more. She's got a D1, Division I scholarship. Katie Getchy from Central City, another great player, 6-footer. Bring the ball down court, don't get in my way. Averages 19 points a game, and I'm not kidding you. She doesn't turn the ball over not that many times. 8 rebounds a game, like I say, get out of my way. Allie Smith from Ward, that's one girl I don't know a lot about. You, Mark?
I only know her from track.
And she's you're right, I know her. She's a little, 5'5" maybe, something like that. I'll tell you what.
She was there, and I think she was there libero and volleyball.
That makes good sense, and
She
had a
has
great
a
ball.
small,
But
if it's the girl I'm thinking of.
I want you to listen, because sometimes girls don't shoot the ball real well. No, you know, it's why don't they do it? I don't know, but they just don't have great percentages from. She is shooting 63% from 2-point land, 10 of 16, and you'll have to buckle them up for this one. 44% from beyond the arc, and yet from the free throw line, she's 4 for 8. But anyway, this girl can score, and she's only a junior.
Yeah.
I do not know the other girl down the line, Ellie Snell from Gibbon. I think that must be Braden's little sister. Yep, there we go. 5'8" junior, 16.5 points a game. Zach said she should be going to Wood River. No, I'm not going to say that. But anyway, she's another sharpshooter. She's shooting 46%. But there's another one, Madison Van Housen. Do we know her name from volleyball?
Yes.
From
we do.
Hampton.
Yes, we do.
And Kylie Teal from Kearney Catholic,
Yep,
of course.
know that name.
And then 2 girls that weren't on the list. Lucy Skoke from Hastings St. Cecilia.
She's a good.
All-state volleyball player. I call her the screen queen because she screens you. You're not going to want to go in again. And then Helly Plumtree, the big girl from Fullerton, who does very well and is one of the the leading rebounders and scorers
She didn't play,
in that class.
She didn't play in it. I thought she didn't play in one game.
She was out one game, yeah, and I don't know what the problem was, but they lost 4 starters from that Fullerton team, and they're still doing extremely well this year.
I think they have
Now, Yeah, I don't know, let's hope that, yeah, they need her at Fullerton, but, Fullerton boys, I forgot to mention, might not be too bad of a team. Some of the girls' teams around here that are good, Kearney Catholic's a good basketball team. You can expect them, they'll go anywhere and play anybody. Last year they played, I think, West Point GACC at Doane.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Wasn't it
They're,
that was at Concordia?
oh, it was at Concordia, but you know, one of these teams, they're playing somebody really, really good this year, and I can't remember who it is. They'll schedule, I think they played Millard West in volleyball and beat them in that one classic, no?
No, Papillion La Vista.
Papillion La
The
Vista,
South, and they lost in 5.
wow,
It was a great match.
fearless bunch.
Because I was down, because Northwest played Millard West.
That's
Yeah.
right,
That
that's right.
Classic, I went down to cover that, and I stayed and watched. It's a good match.
What
But
about
anyway.
what about the city teams? What about the girls' city teams? Senior high's having a little bit of tough luck right now. Mark, do you think they'll improve before this season?
I think so. They play hard. They play hard for them.
If you go, and you hate to say this, but if you go 0-something and you're putting all your effort into it, I don't know how much complaint you're gonna have, but they've gotta improve. And, have you seen them play, Eric, or not?
I haven't seen senior high play this year.
Good coach, very positive guy. Now, there's no question about Northwest girls. I think they're
4-1.
Yeah, their only loss is to Norris, I think. And they're a team that's gonna be they've got that coach has done a terrific job out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and taken over from Mike Ersberg, and he has,
Yeah, Rico's done a
there
fantastic
hasn't
job.
been a drop off, man,
No.
and I'm
Good athletes.
so impressed. And the volleyball thing carries over.
And I mean, they're able to do just, complete line changes or complete, overhauls. They'll bring four
Are you
or five
kidding?
guys or girls
Deep,
back
huh?
in. Yeah, they're that good with rotation, and they've got, young gals out at the point too. The Brown girl, Whitney Brown, is a freshman, and she plays
Never seen her
major
play.
minutes. I mean, never.
I might put you on the spot. How tall is Whitney? Well, I mean, that's all I can think of is a little bitty girl
5'2",
dribbling.
I
She's
think.
still very little.
Yeah, 5'2", I think.
Dribbling
She
two
hasn't grown.
basketballs at a
She
time.
hasn't grown yet, but man, she's still good out at the point. She's not afraid to shoot either. I mean, they get the ball
How
into
does she
her.
get the ball up that high?
She's just that quick getting it
Wow.
off too. So yeah, and they've got some great players. The Bay girl has been pretty good too in there, and so like I said, they just rotate them all in there, and they all get positive minutes, big time minutes, and they're able to put some points on the board.
Central Catholic's girls have had a tough go with scheduling, and this weekend doesn't get any easier. Thursday night, Minden, and then Friday night, weather permitting, a real slouchy Lincoln Christian team coming in. If I'm not mistaken, they might be, are they rated in the overall top 10 World Herald?
I thought I saw that they were.
They are, and Mark corrected me, we were talking about, somebody said they had 5 Division I players on the basketball team starting, but one is a volleyball girl, is that right?
Ashland Power.
Yeah, and there's some names that have been at Lincoln Christian forever. The same family.
And those girls aren't those some of those names you're talking about? Are they only juniors too?
Yeah, that's the scary part, because these girls were playing when they were freshmen and sophomores, so it's gonna be another test for Central Catholic, and the only saving factor for Minden is Taylor Kissinger might not be there, but those girls from Minden competed very well against a heck of an Aurora team Saturday. So it's not gonna be easy for them. Heartland Lutheran's girls, I think, are 1-4. I don't know how well they started out, but, and the boys, by the way, are 3-2. I forgot to mention that, but, before we get off here, I wanted to close. Zach maybe provided us with some area teams, Mark, and I think, the boys' records are listed first, and then the girls' records, so there are some of those teams.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know, Burwell's one of them, that's a good area team. Arcadia Loop City has a good boys team, and I have not seen them play. Have you? No, okay, Zach said no. But they had a decent football team, and at a small school, I can tell you that carries over. If they don't all go out for wrestling.
They'll get Amherst coming up too.
Amherst?
Shortly. Yep, and St. Paul. So
Now, St. Paul's
St.
girls,
Paul.
I don't know how you can, they've got a good basketball team. Clear something up for me. The volleyball coach is coaching St. Paul's girls, is that correct?
I don't know.
I
if Coach Kane's doing
don't
that
think
or not.
Matt Kane Fairbanks is coach.
He's not coaching, okay. Because I don't know if Coach Dinslag is handling
I
girls.
don't, I saw in the preview sheets, because I had to look up I had to look up some names as I was typing in scores. I don't remember who the coach was. Was it?
I'm not
remember.
sure.
I don't remember.
Irregardless, they're having a nice year.
They got, but you said about the football athletes, the volleyball athletes.
It's same,
Leslie Fox, probably one of the best athletes there. But they don't have Haley Fox.
how long is she gonna be out, by the way?
I
that
have
volley?
no. I
That's,
have no
that's gonna hurt a little bit, but they're still doing well. And if
Yeah.
you're kinda crazy if you don't go to when the Loup Platte Conference tournament rolls around, boys and girls tournament. I'm not sure where it's at, but find it because that's gonna be a terrific. Any other teams around the area that
I
stand
want
out?
to talk about, we talk about the football side of it. How about Boone Central Newman Grove? They didn't have that
yeah.
great of a football year. It wasn't up to their standards, but they're 5-0 right now as a boys basketball
And they
team.
beat Twin River last night. Gave Twin River their first loss.
I
last
could,
night,
I could have
think.
kicked myself from not watching that game because that's always a competitive game, and I think it was a last minute free throw that won it or tip in or
I
something.
did. I
Twin River's got a
Remember.
good team, and they're, yeah, that is a good basketball team.
Yeah.
I could see it last year. They came into sub-districts and maybe underestimated GICC and lost that game, but I could see terrific athletes, Dylan Gentrup and that bunch up there. Yeah, that's gonna be a team to be, reckoned with all the rest of the way.
Yeah, and just kind of looking over what Zach gave us here. You look at Spalding Academy. The boys are 3-2, the girls are 4-1. Rood River girls are 3-1.
Hey, good for them. That's a
Yep,
good
so-
basketball team.
Yep. So those are some of the bright spots. Nebraska Christian girls 4-1. There's some bright spots out there for sure. On both sides of the sport.
For Nebraska Christian, as long as they have an O-strand up there for
Yeah.
Carl at coach, and I'm not sure the wife doesn't
Tanya.
coach basketball or volleyball, so, yeah, that's a good bunch. So, next week, we'll know a lot more, and then, of course, there's a bunch of holiday tournaments coming up. There's not too many teams that aren't involved in holiday tournaments, so get out and see them. I think Central Catholic hosts one, Northwest is out of town, Heartland Lutheran, I'm not sure. Senior high, of course, I think that tournament there in the Heartland Athletic Conference might be at North Star. It's not in town. It was here last year. What a treat that was. So get out and see some basketball. Don't forget about the Heartland at the Heartland Event Center. The Flatwater Frick is coming up Friday and Saturday this week. Mark will be there. Come and get his autograph or at least get some advice on who to watch. So for Eric Williams, once again, and our pleasure to have Mark here. Mark Zavala from the GI Independent, behind the camera. Our bodyguard, Zach Mayhew. This is Bobby Mills with theindependent.com. We'll be back to talk a little basketball next time. Stay warm.